Thank you. Hi, everybody. It's a beautiful crowd I'm looking at right now. Let me just take you in for a second, please. Yeah, it's a good crowd. So, we're going to do an experiment. I know you all have kind of a scientific mind. So let's try a little experiment. So just help me, because I only got 40 minutes to present a lot of information. So what I'd like you to do is, I'd like you to just kind of sit in your seat, kind of like this. Just kind of sit back. Yeah. Just kind of slump forward just a little bit. Just slump a little bit. It's okay. Nobody's watching. Okay. Just kind of let your head go forward a little bit. I'd like you to do a little shallow breathing. Just a little bit there. Just kind of sit there like that. You know, you've been here a long time. You've been sitting a long time. You've been listening to all these people speaking on all these heavy, heavy, heavy subjects. Hard subjects to listen to. So just kind of let that kind of sink in there, you know. Just kind of feel that for a second. You know, just remember certain things about life, you know, how we're all going to die. Just remember that. And so just kind of sit there a second. And now if you would, you all know probably what the SUD scale is, subjective units of distress. So on a scale 0 to 10, just kind of notice how your body feels right now. And just kind of put it on a scale from 1 to 10. Remember, 10 is just shoot me. So don't, 10 means really bad. So don't say 11, 12. No, just genuinely, just kind of feel a number. Are you at 4, 5? Just kind of take a number like that. And no looking at your notes right now, please. There will be a test, okay? Very good. So I hope you have your number. Now I'd like you to just kind of come back up and sit up a little bit now. Take a big breath. Even a bigger breath than that, even bigger, and just open your arms like this. Just open it up. In fact, what I need for you to do, I need for you to stand up. Just stand up for a second, and I need for you to applaud. And what I'm going to do is, you're going to applaud, and then I'm going to say thank you. So I'm going to give you my appreciation. I'm going to say thank you, and because you're applauding, and when I do that, I would like you to return it to me and say, oh, thank you. And I'm going to say, no, thank you. And you say, thank you. And you're going to applaud louder and louder and louder and louder. So who's going to kick off the applause? Right there. Louder. Thank you. What? Loud? What? No. You guys. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you, and you, thank you. Really, thank you. Another big breath in. Now have a seat. Very good, very good. Now take a second once again. Just get a little centered and a little quiet now again. Just take a little second there, just be quiet. Just take a breath and just come inside and check your number again. You know, if you were at 4 or 5, even before I did that silly little thing at the beginning, see just how you feel now, just changing posture, moving your body, hitting your hands, exciting all the nervous system. You actually made quite a few biochemical changes in your body, which we're going to talk about when you did that. So just notice what number you're at. And also, because I want to be forthright and honest with you, I want you to know that when I edit the video that we're doing, I'm going to put that part at the end, so I know that I got a standing ovation from you guys. So thank you very, very much for that. Okay, so we're going to talk about a number of things. Particularly at the beginning, I'm just going to read this off because I want to go smoothly and cover this information. A lot of you are here because you want to know about Smart Recovery, which is wonderful. And Smart Recovery was started in 1994. We are a nonprofit, science-based program that helps people recover from addictive behaviors of all types. be they addiction substances, food, drink, prescription, non-prescription, chemicals, internet, TV, excess, you know. We're helping people that are doing things that they want to stop doing and can't quite do it. And we're also trying to help people begin to do things that they find for years and years and years they never quite get started. So, behaviors such as overeating, gambling, workaholism, any negative, habitual negative and self-debasing and self-defeating thinking, okay? Chronic self-judging of self, of others. Habitual criticism and dissatisfaction of self and others. And you can bet that that's at the bottom, the very foundation of anyone you speak to that is struggling with any form of addiction. It's almost like you get addicted to that type of thinking first, and then someone introduces a particular substance to you, or a caretaker or a person does. Someone's very sad, and they say, oh, don't be sad, have a cookie, you'll feel better. You know, so it's like, oh, okay, well, I do feel better, I feel different. You know, that's one introduction. Or later it can be, you know, you're upset, why don't you try this? And they take it, and it's like for the first time they feel normal, or they feel like, I love this. You know, so there's that. So there's this bottom thing that's going on before the substance even shows up. The proof of that, of course, is, you know, the medical industry. Hundreds of thousands of people are given prescription medications while in the hospital, you know, heavy pain medications and so forth. And they don't get out of the hospital going like, hey, you know that stuff I was on for a week? I would really like some more of that. Where can I get it? So that doesn't happen. It happens to a certain percentage of people. A significant percentage, but there has to be that, you might say there has to be chemistry. It's like love at first sight, you know, which is kind of fictitious if you know what that's about. But anyway, it's like it has to be this mutual, the perfect storm has to occur for a substance of any type or a behavior of any type to really work and appear to make things better, which it actually does on a short term, and then of course it has a significant cost. I want to mention some of the great men that have been behind Smart Recovery, Dr. Joseph Gerstein, Drs. Tom Horvath, Dr. Bill Abbott, Dr. Steinberger. I also want to encourage you right off the top to check out the website, smartrecovery.org. You're not going to be able to take notes fast enough today, so just go there. They have so many great articles in the resource section, PDFs that you can download, or don't download it, just save the paper, just read it right there on the screen. Things that will supplement areas that I'll cover very lightly today, that I'm going to zip over. So I'm not going to leave you high and dry. I'm leaving you with that resource. Okay, so Smart Recovery. It's based on this what's called the biopsychosocial model. Doesn't that make me sound smart? Right? Remember that. If you want to impress somebody, just say, I'm studying the biopsychosocial model. Well, guess what? Really all it is bio is your body, psycho is your mind, okay? And social is yourself and people and the relationships that you are in. So it sounds pretty fancy, but it's really saying that what we work on and what our model is based on is the fact that you have a body. I think everybody here has one. And a mind. I won't ask about that. But everybody's in relationships. You're in relationships all the time. We're in relationships the minute you get up and you kind of go over to the bathroom, mirror, you have a relationship with yourself, that person in the mirror, you know. You have a relationship with everyone. And we are designed neurologically, physiologically, everything about us is designed to be in relationship, to relate to people, to see them. That's really why we have eyes, so we can see one another. It's not so you can see a tiger coming after you like everybody talks about during stress. No, the eyes are there so we can see where we came from, you know. we shoot out of our mother's body, and we're like, what's going on here? This is awful out here. I was all cozy and wet and warm in there, and now what is this? Is there anybody out there? And that first eye contact is really our first communication. There's other communication that happens in utero. We won't talk about that, but it's the first outdoor communication. It's the first step in language. It's sign language, and it's even simpler and more primal and deeper, therefore, than even sign language. It's, I see you, you see me, we're okay, I'm with you. So that's what starts. So we're all constantly in relationship. All right, so let's move on to the next slide. All right, as our friend Don Hall, who was awesome enough to put this whole thing together, told you, this is based on a number of different therapies, particularly cognitive behavioral therapy, rational motive therapy, R.E.S, and motivational interviewing. I'm not going to talk about those. I'm going to let you hear more about them, read more about them, looking on the internet. But those are very solid approaches to really communicating with someone. On that note, I do want to say this. We're listening about Craft's fantastic approach. All of these, the 3 you see listed here, the other 5 that I didn't put on the list so you don't have to read too much this afternoon, all the therapies, whenever somebody says, oh, I'm going to a psychotherapist, he's really great. Somebody else says, I'm going to a psychotherapist, and I feel like, all this stuff, all the ones that really work, the one thing they have in common is that they create a relationship with the person. They create a relationship with that individual. It opens the door to their mind and heart eventually, maybe not immediately. You might have to just go really, 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 really slowly. But it's that relationship building that makes the difference. But anyway, so this nice list of things, I want to say yes, the creators, Dr. Albert Ellis, everybody that creates these things, they're all brilliant, but also what they were just naturally is they were compassionate people who wanted to help somebody. And that shows up, and then the language which they use to do that is their own language, their own particular thing that separates one of those approaches from the other. But the bottom line is that, boom, that contact that they make, that somebody gets well, through that. Okay. We have a 4-point program. We work building with maintaining motivation. We work with coping with urges. I'll explain more about why that works, not so much the system we use, but why it works based on the human body, the brain, nervous system. We manage thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. We teach how to manage that. I particularly, as a facilitator, put most of my work, effort, time into that because it's our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors that are going to either motivate or completely demotivate us. It's those thoughts, feelings, and behaviors that are going to give us an urge or settle and calm an urge. And also the last one, living a balanced life. It's my thoughts, my feelings, and my behaviors that are going to provoke me to live a balanced life. Okay. And all right. I'm struggling with my vision. I had a retinal reattachment surgery, so you're a lovely blur to me right now. So if you see me struggling with vision and reading the thing, that's what's going on, so you all know. I said I'd be forthright today. So we have a system where we ask personally what one's values are. We don't really know. We can't assume everybody has the same values, so we look at our values. We also look at values because as great as values are and as crucial as they are, they can also turn around and bite us in the rear. What do I mean by that? It's like, let's say if I have a value that says, I treat people with respect, okay? So I treat everybody with respect, and I believe that firmly, but what if I start letting that kind of dominate me in such a way that when somebody treats me without respect, or what I interpret as disrespectfully, which may or may not be the case at all, they may not be coming from there at all. They might be using their language, what's up, dog? And I'm like, excuse me. And it's like, oh, that was a compliment. And I love dogs, so really I should have figured that out. But sometimes, you know what I'm saying, we can misinterpret so much. Anyway, so the point is, if I have this staunch value where now I'm becoming rigid in that value, I will start blocking people out when they are not adhering to my values. And then it becomes what we call a demand. And that's one of the things I'll leave you with real quickly. Maybe that can be your homework. Notice when you have a demand, you cannot have an upset without a demand. One of your demands, or my demands, is being upset and not being met on my time when I want it. And that's what has to be there for me to have an upset. When I have an upset, my body chemistry is going to change, my attitude is going to change, my relationship, my connection is going to change, and then depending on my background, I'm going to naturally find a way to handle that upset, and it might not be a very productive way. Okay, next. Beep. Did that switch? Oh yeah, you know what? I'm going to go back to the other one. We ask questions. We ask questions like, what do you want for your future? And they have to take a pen and paper and actually write it. So we work. It's a workshop. I call our Smart Recovery meetings, I say they're roll up your sleeve and get to work type of a workshop. You're not going to just sit and listen or just sit and talk or complain. We're going to get to work. So it's like, what do you want for your future? What are you doing to achieve that? And how do you feel about what you're currently doing? Anyway, so we like to these are thought-provoking questions. We teach how to identify triggers and so forth. And we teach this, which is great, unconditional self-acceptance, which is easy to misunderstand. I remember the first time I heard that, I went, well, wait a minute, if I do that, maybe I'm going to become a slouch, you know? Maybe I'm not, if I unconditionally accept myself, doesn't that mean I'm going to set the bar really low? No, it means I give myself space to make mistakes and then, you know, to fall off the horse and get back on. And unconditional self-acceptance of others. Terrific. That's an hour-long presentation right there. Learning how to identify and dispute irrational beliefs. We're going to talk about that a little bit too. And finally, there's actually a lot more tools we use. These are just my favorites. We do a lot of journaling so we can do a lot of introspection and build up some strength in what we call mindfulness, which is another hour presentation. But anyway, so now I'm sure some of you are all wondering, well, what is this guy? Why is he involved in Smart Recovery? What got him there? Well, what happened is I struggled for many, many years with GOM syndrome, very serious, debilitating syndrome and condition. And so far, they know that no one who has had GOM syndrome has ever, you know, at some point, they've always died. I mean, you're familiar with, everybody's familiar with GOM syndrome, right? There's also gout, you're not? Well, it's this right here. I discovered, it's true, I don't like to admit it, but I was becoming a grumpy old man. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I caught myself, and I just started noticing that I was like, who left that crumpled up piece of paper over there in the living room? You know? And, oh my God, what time is it? Or it's raining again. All this kind of stuff. And I just started noticing that I was being a pain in the ass all by myself, to myself, without the help of anyone else. And I found myself in this kind of a negative role too often, not all the time, you know, but too often. And I said, you know, I don't like this. And one of the problems with being in this chronic negative thinking, et cetera, is that they don't stop selling negative thinking at midnight in the store. You got me? You know, they don't say at 2 o'clock in the morning, well, you have to go home now and not have any more blank. It's like you can have negative thinking, self-doubt, self-hate, self-deprecation at any time. It's free. It's not even expensive. You don't even have to steal a car and trade it so that you can buy some negative thinking and so forth. But anyway, so I went to a place where they handle serious behavioral and thinking problems, and I found Smart Recovery. I got on it, and I just found it terrific. Anyway, so I've been working as a facilitator and attending and helping out for about 5 years now. Thank you. So, I had applied many of the things that I use now, but it hadn't really sunk in. So really, a lot of you will, if you attend one of our meetings, a lot of it just makes so much sense, but it hadn't worked on me before I got committed in a program like that, where I'm like, committed and doing homework and doing it and showing up, et cetera, et cetera. And it's like the story, of course, of a elderly man and woman who are visiting New York City. They're excited. They're going to a concert in about 40 minutes, but they're lost in downtown. And they're like, oh, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And the wife sees a man in a tuxedo walking, and he's got a violin case. And she goes, honey, ask him. Surely he'll know. And he asks, excuse me, sir, do you know how to get to Carnegie Hall? And of course, the man stops, pauses, looks at them, and loudly says, practice, practice, practice. That's cute, right? Did you get that? Okay, good. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. And anyway, so that's the thing. So it's like I knew this stuff, and also like the lady who was talking about craft, she mentioned practice too. Why do we have to practice so much? Why can't we just fix ourselves? Why can't you just wake up and be interested in exercising and eating right and not doing this and not overeating and not having Krispy Kreme, that stuff. Why? Because we're wired a certain way. We've been wired a certain way. And one of the things I want to accomplish today is for you to leave without beating yourself up as much, at least, as you probably do when you mess up. And you will mess up. You will continue to mess up. It's part of your learning curve. And don't slow down the progress of the learning curve by beating yourself up even more. That's what you grew up with. That's probably why you do it. You probably learned that when you do something wrong, the way you fix it is by punishing, or if you didn't have a lot of physical punishment in your life, you may have learned this trick that's still very popular called withdrawing of affection. So the child does something wrong, and they're like, I can't, and some people will say it, but really the message, the body language is, I can't even look at you. Here we are, we have this system in the body, 56 trillion cells, all designed to look at people, and then the most important in your life says, either gives you the sign, or says, I can't even look at you, or go to your room, right? Right when it should be, wow, what happened? Wow, what just happened just there? He whacks his little sister, or the little sister whacks this. Wow, what just happened? Like, I'm not even going to claim that I know what happened. Like, what? What did your sister go to? You each, he started it, you did it, but now we're, oh my God. You know how long that goes on? It's like, wow, what just happened? Hey, come here, little guy. To the offender, oh my God. That goes against everything that we're learning in society. It goes against everything to go to the person that started it and go, hey, what was that? What happened? And that's when they're cute. And have you noticed? I'm not as cute as I used to be. I am not as cute as I used to be. I was pretty cute when I was like this. And then there's a point where you're not so cute anymore. A little infant, he poops his little diaper, he pees himself, he vomits, and he laughs, and oh my God, he's so cute. But it's not so cute when you're 57 and you're on the street. You're on the street and you're like, oh, and then people walk by, oh my God, that's disgusting. But we don't do that with a little, so there's this cuteness factor goes away. And now you're not so cute anymore. So we gotta remember, oh my God. So 2 things today you want to leave with. You're going to die, and you're not always going to be so cute. So those are just 2 healthy things for you to remember, to hopefully get you perked up and make you do something about that. Okay. So SMART, so why SMART? It's not, I like the acronym, I love the acronym, I just don't like that it sounds like maybe we're smarter than other people. And even though that's true, we would never say such a thing. That's a joke. Okay, but SMART, of course, is an acronym. It stands for Self-Management and Recovery Training. Training because we practice, practice, practice. Now, so the first word is self. And we have to ask when we look at this thing, something that we don't ask in the recovery community, because everybody says recovery so much it doesn't even mean anything anymore. It's like, well, what am I trying to recover? So that, you can take notes. Write that one down. What am I trying to recover? And somebody says, oh, I'm in recovery. Oh, that's great. What are you trying to recover? We have data recovery. Companies that when your system, your hard drive crashes, they try to recover that lost information. So there's lost information about us that we're trying to recover. It might be right when you stop being cute. It might be that point where like, everything is fine, everybody left me, and then boom, it stopped. What happened? So it's like, I want to recover that sense of feeling like I'm part of the family, or that sense that I'm part of this place, that sense that I'm okay. Maybe that's what I'm trying to recover, but also the sense of self. So back to this. So what we are is we are a body, we are a mind, and we are our relationships. And just notice again that I've split it in three, but it's unsplittable. It's unsplittable. There's no mind without the body. There's nothing. This is one thing. All right. So this is your brain.
Thank you.
Right? That's pretty terrific. And what has to happen is, and I can hardly read that, but I know this stuff. But anyway, it's like we have parts of the brain that are in charge of feeling heat and cold. And they're not even the same part of the brain. Your nerves that feel cold are not the ones that feel hot. You have a separate set for that. You have set for a certain type of a pain, for a certain type of sensation. What I will say is interesting, though, that the part of the brain that experiences physical pain is also the part of the brain that experiences emotional pain. When we say, God, that just broke my heart, or he just broke my heart, or she just broke my heart. You're feeling that in the same place as if you had an angina attack and your heart really hurt. So just think about that for a second. I was always impressed the first time I heard the expression self-medication and self-medicating. I was like, God, who noticed that? That is brilliant. So just, again, remember when you're working with someone or yourself regarding addiction, just remember that more than substance abuse. Think more, wow, I'm self-medicating. The other one I like is mood altering. Like, what is the mood I am in that I want to alter, and how is there another way I can get there? What's the pain I'm feeling? We have all these expressions that reveal and tell us all these things. Feeling no pain. But anyway, so I wanted to just show you that so you can see it's complex up here. And what you saw previous was all the functions of the brain that make your body work. But also, we have specifically parts of the brain that allow you to think and learn. You have parts of the brain that allow you to remember and allow you to interact with another. You can have a brain injury where, like, you stop learning. You can have a brain injury where you don't remember anything about the last few weeks, but you still may remember something from 20 years ago, and vice versa. You have parts of the brain that are responsible for surviving and reacting. And that's all it does. It's dedicated to that. So you are a corporation and you have all these departments that are specifically in charge of creating something. And guess what? That development, that brain develops, it's like a plant, except it's a whole bunch of different plants. And if you had a garden and you only water this side dries up. And if you just water this side and you fertilize that part and you put poison on this side and so forth, you're going to have different parts of your brain that are strong. That's why you have one friend who's a terrific musician, and they're terrible at showing up on time to your house. Somebody else who's really smart in some way intellectually, they're blah, 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 and then you say, well, gosh, I'm really sad because my dog died. And they're like, oh, get over it, or whatever. You know, it's like, and you're like, what happened to you? You have like no emotions, but you're really smart, or vice versa. And just know it's all one brain. Like this whole room, this is one brain, and together we can contribute one to the other. Like the part that I'm missing, you know, if I'm missing a leg, I'm missing 2 eyes right now, so it's like I can hold on to him, and he can help me navigate a little more effectively. But anyway, so my point is that your brain is growing, and what's it depending on? I'm just showing you these because there's even more involvement about what the brain does, specifically the brain. And where it begins is in the process of bonding. Somebody please let me know when I have like 15 minutes left or something. So bonding is, again, that connection, that first connection that you just made. So we have a bonding style. It's important to just know that and acknowledge it. If you've ever struggled in a relationship, you know, you probably don't know about this. It's, you know, as popular as it is, not everybody knows, but it's important to know there are bonding styles. So I can be more elusive. It can be that I never really attached with my caretakers, or single caretaker, whichever it may be. So, and I developed a system to survive being that way, and now I don't really connect that intensely with somebody. And then there's somebody else, and I don't really care because I'm fine, let's say, okay? Maybe I excelled in school because I was able to stay in the dorm room and study while everybody else was socializing and having parties, and I'm like, I think I'm just going to stay here and study for the exam, you know, because I'm not like drawn or thrown to be in that relationship. And then I meet somebody who's just the opposite, and they want me to connect so bad, and I'm like, but I think you're great, I love you, but I'm not expressing this thing, and it's like, disastrous relationship, and it's like you're hating each other, and it may have nothing to do with the present. It may have completely to do my style of bonding versus their style of bonding. There's an optimal version, but my point is that there's different styles and they can conflict. But the important thing is that the healthy bonding facilitates, it's like watering and fertilizing all the plants and letting the whole brain grow. And this is just, again, another slide to show you exactly how complicated and how involved it is. If you had a copy of this, you would read character traits and styles of different bonding. Then we have this anterior orbital cingulate. You have these different parts of the brain that are specifically designed, and when they grow to a correct size, you're actually a nicer person. So like when you meet somebody who's just a pain in the they may have that part of the brain may literally be smaller. You can measure it. Size counts in some things. And again, I'm saying why, again, another list of things that have to occur. What the bonding occurs like in the first year or so. Then, when you're 2, let's do the previous one. When you're 2, you know, you're either going to learn basic trust or mistrust. That's a long time ago, and you're going to carry that with you the rest of your life. I trust everybody. I don't trust anybody, or someplace in between. And then, you know, later, between 2 and 4, you're going to either have a sense of autonomy, I can do it, or shame, I screw up everything. That always happens to me, right? And it all goes back to this. And why am I elaborating on these things is because I'm actually telling you why it's valuable to be in a program such as Smart Recovery or craft or anything else, work with people, have a common denominator where you're trying to work things out. So what happens in proper development of the brain itself, which is of the child, right? We're not separating things, so proper development, what you get is resiliency versus vulnerability. Resiliency means your bounce back ability. You know, a piece of cloth has resilience, a ball has resilience. So whenever you are working with someone who is struggling with an addiction of any type, just know right away they're not resilient. We have to get that. They're not resilient. We think we are treating people who are not something like they are something or like they should be something. I do not speak Chinese. I do not feel bad about it, but I cannot speak it to save my life. So in that same sense, they cannot call, there's nothing there. They're looking for it. They're going, I can't, nothing. And what happens is you can have a lifetime of these events, these shocking events, traumatic events, self-offending events. You know, you can lose so many times that you become a good, I don't want to say good loser, good at losing. You can get upset so many times that practice thing applies there too. You become really good at being upset, really good at being an addict. They're practicing. Really good at diving for the refrigerator when I'm upset, you know. You find something, it works once, and then because of, it's not even your fault, it's because how the brain works, it stores it in memory and says, this made you feel better. And then when you're triggered, it says, oh, let's do it again.